Okay, a couple of people tagged me in this story. I have to first give a shout out to First Them News because they were the first ones to tell me about this story. And then I have to also give a shout out to Stephanie Dews because she gave me an update to this story. And man, just looking at this right here, I can already tell the BS is a lot of BS is going to come from it. So you can see right here in the title, it says Iowa police arrest 4 after body of a man found burning in a ditch. Now, anyone care to guess what the ethnicity of the man that was found burning in the ditch? If you guessed that he was black, you would be correct. And if they didn't find those people, I didn't say it in a jokingly way, but I said it in a more like a rhetorical way. I said, let me guess, suicide. Because you know they always like to say that black people hang themselves and so they don't have to do an investigation, when we clearly know it's something completely different. So, the article reads, Iowa police arrested 4 people on Tuesday in connection to the death of a man whose body was found burning in a ditch. Law enforcement has charged the individuals after the body of Michael Williams, a 44-year-old black man, was found last week in Kellogg, Iowa, according to an Iowa Department of Public Safety statement. Authorities arrested Stephen Vogel, age 31, and charged him with first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. He is being kept at the Marshall County Jail where he had already been in custody on unrelated charges. Julia Cox, age 55, Roy Lee Garner, age 57, and Cody Johnson, age 29, were also arrested and are accused of abusing a corpse, destroying evidence, and being an accessory after the fact, police said. All 3 are at Poweshiek County Jail. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation, the Grinnell Police Department, and the Jasper County Sheriff's Office announced the charges during a Tuesday press conference. Williams' body was found after police responded to a ditch fire at about 5:30 p.m. last Wednesday. Officers identified the burning item as a human body and attempted to extinguish the fire while preserving evidence for an investigation. Law enforcement classified the investigation as a homicide and identified the body over the weekend as belonging to Williams. In the last week, concerns have mounted in the Grinnell area as the speculation grew about Williams' death being a hate crime. But during Tuesday's press conference, law enforcement said there is no evidence Williams' death was motivated by race. How did I know they was going to say that? So they can't say that the guy killed himself because clearly, but they said, well, we don't know. We can't say that it was based on race. Hello, this guy was the only black man. The people that you got were white and they burned his body and put it and threw it in a ditch. So for them to sit up there and try to insult my intelligence, which you know is one of my biggest pet peeves, and say that they don't want to charge this as a hate crime is BS. I'll repeat it again. He was the only black man there. His body was found in a ditch, burning. The people that they arrested were palm colored. Like, come on now. Now, it's crazy because they can slap those hate crime charges on that man that story on that said that he wanted to go out there and kill a white person because he's tired of the BS that they put us through and everything like that. They can hit him with a hate crime, and he's one of the first people to get hit with a hate crime. But they got to say, well, we don't know if there's enough evidence to say that this was a hate crime. I keep telling you, they'll do anything to not hit them with hate crime charges no matter what. Now, I bet you if the roles was reversed and it was a black people that did this to one white person, hate crime charges scattered, passed around like pamphlets. Evidence and statements gathered during this investigation have shown that Mr. Williams and Vogel were known acquaintances who often socialized within the same circle of friends. So I'm guessing that's the reason why it could not be a hate crime. Oh, he had a black friend. So there's absolutely no way he could be a racist. Thus, meaning there's absolutely no way in hell that he could be charged with a hate crime. They couldn't use that on us. What if they said that Mr. Williams and this, what's his name? Mr. Vogel, were friends and they hung around in the same circle and Mr. Williams was the one that killed him? They wouldn't say that. They only use that on them. So because he had a quote unquote black friend, and I use that in air quotes, that means that there's no possible way that this guy was a racist. And there's no possible way that this was a hate crime. Again, my intelligence is being insulted. The investigation has revealed no evidence to show the acts against Michael Williams were motivated by his race, nor that his death was the result of a hate crime. If you say so. Police believe Williams was killed on or about September 12th, and his body was wrapped in cloth and plastic and secured with rope and tape. His body was taken to Kellogg on September 16th and then set on fire. The office of the state medical examiner said the cause of death was consistent with strangulation. Friends of the Williams family launched a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for expenses that may come out of an investigation and burial. In addition to living and transportation costs for his children, the goal of $10,000 was met in less than a day before it was up to $35,000. Nearby Grinnell College canceled its classes on Monday after Williams' death to recommit ourselves to equity and inclusion and to recognize the violent loss of one of our community, College President Ann Harris and Chief Diversity Officer Shavala Rivera said in a statement. This stark and brutal murder in the national context of racial injustice has struck intense fear for safety of our Black, Indigenous, and people of color, colleagues, friends, and families, they said. National context has become local experience. The investigation is underway to bring justice to Mr. Williams and to his family. They may not call it a hate crime, but I'm going to call it one. That's exactly, in my eyes, what it was. What else could it have possibly been? What was the motive behind them killing this man in such a brutal way? Like they said, they found the cause of death was actually strangulation, meaning he wasn't burned alive. They already had killed him, and then they took his body over there. Mind you, they said that he was killed on around September 12th. And that his body was burned around September 16th, which means they've had his body, literally a dead body, for like 4 days before they finally decide to set it on fire in another location from where they killed him. But like they said, the cause of death was strangulation, and then they had to get rid of the body, and they did it by burning it, but they didn't burn it completely. It was enough for them to identify that it was him, and enough for them to identify that he did die of a strangulation before he was set on fire. But I truly believe that this was indeed a hate crime. You cannot sit up here and tell me otherwise. I'm convinced that anytime something like this happens to a Black person in states like Iowa or Idaho, a place where there's not a huge Black population, and the culprits at hand happen to be PC, I'm automatically going to say in my mind or think that is going to be a hate crime. Look at the story that I think also came out of Iowa, where you had that Black guy, and I think I did this a couple months ago, and I think it was Iowa, where you had that Black guy that was going over there to visit his girlfriend, and he got chased down by 2 PC males, and they literally beat him and then tried to drown him in a puddle of water, but he was able to get away, and he ran into the forest. But they messed his face up. And even then, they kept trying to say, well, we don't believe this to be a hate crime. Even after it came out that they called him racial slurs, and they still said it wasn't a hate crime. See, what they're trying to do is they're trying to rearrange how hate crimes work. They only want to see what it is now. They're trying to make it where hate crimes are only when Black people commit them against other people, or if it's happening against those in the academy. Notice that they'll slap hate crime on you if you're a part of the academy. They'll hit you real hard with that one, and fast. Look at what they're doing now for the Asians because of what happened with the woo-woo. Now, if you even speak against them was it in New York or whatever state it was someplace they just passed some kind of legislation, because Lisa just did a video about it, where if you talk about Asians in a derogatory way and link it to this virus, or maybe even not link it to the virus, but they'll just keep it right there. They'll say that you're committing a hate crime. So now it's like they're trying to take the heat of a hate crime off of the people who commit the most hate crimes, and it's shifted everywhere else, but it'll still be against us at the end of the day. They think they slick, but I can see right through them. But I hope that his family does indeed get the justice that they deserve. I truly believe they should get some type of jungle justice, some street justice, in my honest opinion, when it comes to stuff like this. Torture them the same way that you tortured my loved one. Now that, in my opinion, is equality.